Hi everyone, it's Victoria Kennedy, medium clairvoyant from Los Angeles, California. And on today's episode of VK's Rant and Rave, we're going to talk about cults. So let's get into it. So, there's two different type of cults. We have just cults when it comes more like to the Charles Manson group. Their cults were basically Charles Manson is their faithful leader, right? Charles Manson, to them, he was God. Then you have the religious cults, which I'm going to actually discuss a little bit further in detail, which is one of the worst type of cults anybody could be a part of. So when it comes to religious cults, this is a group that will exhibit excessive devotion to a person or to a certain belief system. Sometimes they will have potentially harmful behaviors. But I guess now the modern new term for religious cults is called New Religious Movement, the NRM, which I'm not really sure why we had to rename them, because overall they're going to be really messed up to be a part of any type of religious cult. So, we've all seen on TV about the Scientologists, right? The Scientologist building in Los Angeles, how they're this new movement, but they do not recognize themselves as being a cult. Now, there's also other religions who do not consider themselves being a cult. We have the Mormons, and all of this actually are religious cults. Now, I am not a religious person, and I've said this over and over, but I am very spiritual. My belief in God is so important to me because of the things that I see, I hear, I feel, and so forth, right? So God is my everything. But God is not going to tell me to go and hurt other people in order for me to have this grand entrance into heaven. Because that's not what God's about. That's not what so-called religion is supposed to be about. When we talk about religion, they're all man-made ideas. Going back and just looking at the Bible, it's been rewritten over and over and over. So what can you believe versus what you cannot believe? So when it comes to the Bible, I say take a little bit of kindness and being polite, being caring. Those are the things that you want to take from the Bible because that's what God is. But when it comes to these religious cults, that's not what their God wants, which I'm not really sure who their God is because we only have one God. And this one God has 1,000,001 names. But their representation of God and going out and harming people and, molesting children, marrying children, definitely is not the type of love that God wants you to have. So when it comes to cults, they all have different type of behaviors that are going to be associated with any type of religious cults. We're going to have a very charismatic leader, someone who is very structured. They want to isolate and have full control, which means that they're going to isolate you from your friends and your family, which I'm not saying that the Scientologists are not a cult, but they are being isolated. There's also manipulation and coercion. This is a way that, they're able to kind of make sure that they can keep these people. They have rigid belief systems, which means that they actually will adhere to a very strict ideas or belief system. They have demands for time, energy, and resources. And I'm not saying that the Scientologist is a cult, but you kind of see the direction that I'm going in. So I'm going to say it. Are the Mormons a cult? Absolutely. Are the Scientologists, are they a cult? Absolutely. And this is really going to put them in the forefront because it says that cults, religious cults, they demand for time, energy, and resources. So what does that mean? Well, this means that their members are to dedicate a certain amount of time, their own energy, and money basically to that particular religious cult. And this could actually affect their expenses of their personal lives and their well-being. So, again, if the shoe fits, then they obviously have to wear it. We had Jim Jones, he pretty much led People's Temple. And this was a group that was founded on progressive ideas and initially offered social services before relocating them to Jamestown. And this is where ultimately Jim Jones led over 900 members to a mass murder-suicide. 900 people. Okay. You might be thinking, how is this possible? How is somebody able to gather so many people into this cult? Well, we're also going to get into that as well. We have the Branch Davidians. It was led by David Koresh. This was in Waco, Texas. And this happened in 1993, where he pretty much killed over 80 people in regards to that. I remember seeing that on TV. This building just engulfed in flame, but I also remember seeing people running out from there as well. And I do think that there are some survivors who, pretty sure they're really messed up now. Then we have Heaven's Gate, the famous Heaven's Gate. And this was founded by Marshall Applewhite. If you have seen Marshall Applewhite, let me tell you, homie is creepy, okay? Just by walking or seeing him, he just has creep vibes all over him. He kind of reminds me of, there's this one, I think it's the third movie of the Poltergeist, where this little old man, all dressed in black with a black hat, goes up to the door and he's singing some song, and it's raining, and he's I'm telling you, he literally looks like a walking skeleton. That's how this Marshall Applewhite looked. He was just creepy. So Heaven's Gate, this was a belief system that was combined with UFO beliefs, Bible scriptures, and again, it resulted in mass suicide of 39 members. Sorry, I can't talk today. And they all believed they would transcend to a higher realm, which would be more on a ET spacecraft traveling Halley-Bopp comet. Again, we're going to get into beliefs and how is this even possible. We have a Christian group that was founded by David Berg called Children of God. And this is basically a cult where he was using women to recruit, and he would sexually abuse children. I can only imagine what else got on there. And our wonderful Scientology. You know, some consider it to be a cult. Some consider it's not a cult. I don't care what anybody says. You're not changing my mind. It is a freaking cult. You know, this is where they put financial pressure on their members, their personal information gathering and blackmail. And there's even been instances of abuse as characteristics of a cult. So if you don't believe in something that they want you to believe in, I guess they're going to beat you up and physically, mentally hurt you until you say, okay, I believe that the tomato is Jesus, I guess, right? Oh, yes, I see Jesus in a tomato. Oh, I see the Virgin Mary in a walnut. Go figure, right? So how do cults form? Well, you're going to have people who are not in a good situation. They are broken down mentally. And these are people who want to have that grasp. They want to feel that they belong and that they're wanted. And these so-called leaders of the cult says, oh yeah, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to love you. You're going to have everything that you're going to want. And they literally brainwash them. Sometimes people say, oh, it's because they come from some type of economical struggles. No, you can come from an economical struggling background, if that makes any sense whatsoever, and still have the mindset of what's right versus what's wrong. So when we talk about people who are being, manipulated, look at it from an emotional perspective. These are people who were verbally and physically abused from their parents. They could have been emotionally abused, meaning talked down to, physically abused, meaning that they were literally beaten, and even sexually abused, which I'm pretty sure we all know what that is going to be. So these are people who are so broken mentally that all they want is to have that self-worth of belonging. And when somebody is so broken down like that, and here comes a Charles Manson, or here comes a David Koresh, or a Jim Jones, they tell them every single thing that they want to hear. And next thing you know, that person is going to believe everything that they say. Why? Because these are people who are going to allow them to feel loved, which they never felt before. They're going to make them feel as if they belong, which they never felt before. They're going to make them feel as if they are the most grounded person within this planet. So, religious cults. Do all people go missing, or do all people end up putting on their black Nikes, lacing them up, and drinking the Kool-Aid? No, not all. There are some cults who don't want to do a mass suicide or to be a part of a mass suicide. All they want to do is be that man. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not seen a religious cult yet that is led by a woman. So far, what I have seen, they probably should have Googled this too, so please correct me if I'm wrong. All of these cults have all been led by guys. Every single one of them. So again, if there is a religious cult out there that was led by a woman, please let me know. And like I said, I probably should have Googled this. So, what about the ones that don't believe in the mass suicides? Well, I do want to put out there that not all new religious movements, meaning religious cults, are going to have any type of potential dangers or wanting to hurt their members. It's all about what their members are going to be able to do for them, right? So the Mormons, the same thing. They're a religious cult. You have to get so many members. They are recruiting every single day. Every single day. And they have to go out. I mean, how many times have you received a knock on the door with their Awakened? I think that was called their Awakened little booklet that they would have. I know that before COVID, they were always around all the time. But they seem to kind of stop coming around. Well, let me just back up there. So when they would come back, because I would not answer the door, or I would tell them that I was atheist and I didn't believe in God, which we all know that's not true. I just wanted them to go away because I don't believe that anybody should be trying to push their religious beliefs on anyone. Just like for those of you who believe in God, those of you who don't believe in God, that's your choice. That is a choice that you have chosen. Who am I to say you have to believe in God? It's not me. This is your journey. For some unknown reason, this is what you have chosen to come into this life, saying, I don't believe in God. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. Because again, it's not my life. It's not my journey. It's your journey. So they would come. They would knock on the door. Sometimes I would ignore them, yell from my kitchen, go away. Sometimes they would come around and I would tell them, like I said, I'm atheist. I don't believe in God. I remember there was this one time and I was actually in my family room. I'm sorry, in my little living room. And, I live in California. I have a firearm. So I was actually cleaning one of my guns, and I saw that they were at the porch. So I literally, and there was nothing in the chamber. Literally, I was literally just cleaning it. And I remember I went to the screen door and I opened it. And I remember I was like, kind of like polishing one of the sides of it. And I was like, can I help you? And I literally did this on purpose, right? And I've never seen Mormons run so quick in my entire life. So little by little, I think they all kind of started getting the hint and they stopped coming around. But every now and then, one would still come around. And I would tell them the same thing. Go away. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. Just to have them go away. Then COVID hit. And they all just suddenly stopped coming by. Every now and then, I do see a couple of them. But I have not had any interaction. Like, they just don't come to my house, which I'm okay with. Again, I just don't think that anybody should be pushing your religious beliefs on other people. So going back to what I said about, people who get involved with cults. These are people who have been isolated their entire life. They don't feel like they have a leg to stand on, basically. And they've been beaten down mentally, physically, emotionally. And it's really sad because they go into this so-called perfect religion and it's that guy who is saying, oh, you have to do this. And if you don't do this, then you're going to have to sleep outside or whatever it might be. Or I'm going to lock you up in a dark dungeon with no food or water. I mean, basically, with these cults, these are the guys who are going around doing nothing but having sex with women whenever they want, regardless if the women want to have it or not, going around molesting children, impregnating children. And when I say children, they're even teenagers. Just because you're a teenager, it doesn't make you an adult, and it doesn't give you the right to say, oh, well, you're 15, you're 16, you're mature now, I can go ahead and do this. No, absolutely not. So, religious cults, I really have to say, and to be blunt, this is a really fucked up situation. There is a church, which I will keep nameless because I am actually investigating this one. 2 people, and it's out here in the Riverside area, have gone missing. Okay, so just in case if you want to Google it. 2 guys have gone missing. And the church will not cooperate whatsoever. Why aren't you cooperating? What are you hiding? Are you hiding their bodies somewhere underneath your own temple? Like what is it? So again, does it show me that this is a religious cult? Yes. And I was reading an article and it even said that one of the individuals, his family and friends, once he got involved in this church, they started noticing a difference, like a change in him. And not a good change. It was basically a bad change. So again, that goes to showing you how religious cults work. They try to change your mindset, your thought process. They start to move you away from your family little by little. So that way it's just, you and that cult. And I don't care what these people are saying about the NRM, New Religious Movement. Why do they have to have some fancy freaking name? They are a cult, a religious cult. They lie. They cause pain and harm on women, on children, and even on guys, and even on boys. So again, when you ask me why I'm not religious and why am I spiritual, I don't believe in inflicting pain on anyone, only if you are fighting for your own safety or for your family's safety. Then I'm all for it. But just walking around trying to inflict pain, any type of pain on anyone, it's not the way that I roll. So always be careful when you go when you go and get into any type of thing that is new. Right? Well, the God who I seek every single day, morning and at night, all throughout the day. My God is nothing but unconditional love and light. To be kind, to be humble, to be thankful, to live a joyful life, not to go out and cause harm on other people. So next time you want to go to a Bible study group, or you want to go to church on that Sunday morning, because let me tell you, everybody goes to church on Sunday morning because they're this religious person and they want everybody to believe that they are this godly person. They leave that church, they go home, they start doing whatever it is that they do. And I'm not saying all people who go to church are bad. I'm not saying that. But I'm going to say that out of every church on a Sunday, there's probably a good handful of people that go home after church, abuse their wife, their family, start drinking, start taking drugs, and they're horrible throughout the rest of the week. And they feel that by going to church on Sunday that God will forgive them and their sins. But yet they continue to do it week after week. So next time, as I said before, you want to go to that Bible study, just be careful. Your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your motivation, that's all on you. So again, if somebody says, Tom Jones, God is the color of a tomato, God, the tomato is God, then there's a problem there. Because first of all, I don't think God would be a tomato or look like a tomato. And I don't even like tomatoes. But I'm pretty sure you get it, what I'm saying. Just be careful, because you never know. The next Haley Bob Cop comment that comes through, it might just whisk you up so they can take you on the next spaceship. All right, everyone. Have a blessed rest of your day. Bye.